the Rock Metal Podcast, episode 184 with Lords of the Trident. All right, Rock Metal Nation, what is up? This is John from the Rock Metal Podcast. That sample you just heard was Death Dealer by Lords of the Trident, who I've got on the show with me right now. They've got a new album called Shadows from the Past, set to release via Junko Johnson later this month on August 24th. Right now I'm being joined by Fang to share some stories about the music and share more info about what Lords of the Trident have got cooking up. So Fang, welcome to the show.
Hails, thank you for having me. It's fantastic to be here.
Absolutely, sir. Great to have you on. Let's go listen back to that track, Death Dealer. Come back from Death Dealer Killer Track, the current single that is airing from the album. I'm curious, Fang, what is the story or inspiration behind Death Dealer?
So, Death Dealer was a song, one of those songs that was brought to us by Baron Torian Helishar, one of our lead guitarists, of course. And at the time, we didn't quite know exactly what to write the song about. And usually our other lead guitarist, Asian Metal, is pretty good about coming up with song ideas. And he'd been playing, as well as the Baron, they'd both been playing a heck of a lot of Diablo. So we're like, the old school classic PC game Diablo,
Right.
So we're like, well, heck, let's write this song about El Diablo. So there's a lot of D words in there, Death Dealer. There's a lot of references to Diablo. We're all big Diablo fans anyway. So we thought, hey, let's write a song about it.
Mm-hmm. Now, a vibe that I got from looking at some of the song titles and whatnot is a bit of a fantasy video game-esque sort of theme to the album, to the whole deal. With El Diablo and Death Dealer, what I guess is the angle? Is it a character in the game? Is it somebody playing the game? Is it?
Yeah, I think in terms of like the narration, in terms of like the angle of the lyrics, I think it's essentially from the perspective of say someone who meets the adventurer outside of the town and is kind of explaining what is going on. There's not really an indication of like, let's go kill Diablo or something from the lyrics. It's more of like, okay, here's what's going on. Here's what's happening.
Sure.
So yeah, absolutely. And to speak to a broader point about the general songs on the album, a lot of people say, hey, Lords of the Trident, I listen to a lot of metal. I'm expecting songs about, being angry at your dad and stuff like that. And listen, we've been around since the dawn of time, and we've long since made up with our dad. So at this point, we're kind of like, well, what do we draw inspiration on? We either battles, bloodshed, fighting dragons, or of course video games. I mean, so
yes.
It's one of those four. So people correctly assume, oh, you're talking about Diablo, or you're talking about Final Fantasy VI or whatever. Yeah, it's because there's only so much like slaying the dragon that you can do on one album. You kind of have to diversify a little bit.
You're right. Fang, you're not wrong. Hashtag you were not wrong. But oddly enough, I'm glad somebody else has the mad at your dad joke. Because whenever I hear bands that are like, they sound really angry, I'm like, these guys are mad at their dad.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like every time I see a metalcore band, it's like, Dad never came to my house. Hurt you, man. Who hurt you?
Exactly. Where did the angel touch you?
Show me on the dolly.
Show me on the dolly where the angel touched you. Cool. Cool. All right, let's go listen to the next track. Burn It Down with Fire.
We found a nation convulsing in a temple of sin, with entrails
Rock Metal Nation, it's John from the Rock Metal Podcast for a real quick break to let you know that Jay over at Metal Mayhem Radio is looking to help you get your band in rotation on his station. So go ahead and hit up Jay at studio@metalmayhemradio.co.uk. That is studio@metalmayhemradio.co.uk. Just go ahead and say that the Rock Metal Podcast sent you. He'll get you into rotation on Metal Mayhem Radio. All right, coming back from the track, Burn It Down with Fire. It seems like a slightly more upbeat track. Not that Death Dealer's not, upbeat. It's just kind of a different groove altogether. I'm curious, similar question. What's the story or inspiration behind Burn It Down with Fire?
Yeah, when we play this one live, I like to introduce it by this is our Motorhead cover. And it's an interesting inspiration. And I don't know about you, but for me, some of my best ideas ever have always come in the shower. You're just sitting in the shower and your mind goes blank, and then all of a sudden some $1 million song idea just rains down from the heavens like the many droplets of water raining down upon your face. And that happened, but all that happened, right, is I'm sitting in the shower and all I hear in my mind is like, burn it down with fire. And that's all I had, right? That was it. And so I get out of the shower. I probably put on a towel. I can't remember. Maybe I walked out naked. I don't know. And I grab the Baron, perhaps naked, and I shake him and I say, Baron, I have this idea for this song, but all I have is the chorus. And he says, oh my God, put on some clothes. And so I did, and we talked about it. And all I did was sing him the chorus. I said, it's okay. It goes like, burn it down with fire. And a week later, he comes back to me with this totally complete song. And he said, I was thinking about maybe making this one about maybe like a witch burning sort of a thing. And I'd never thought about it from that angle. The only angle I was coming from was, fire. Yes, fire is cool. We must burn things with fire. That was my only angle. And so, when he came up with that idea, I started to think on it. And I created the lyrics from two perspectives, from the perspective of the townspeople finding this witch, and then from the perspective of the witch herself. And then when I started thinking about it that way, I'm like, oh my gosh, we should get a totally amazing guest vocalist, like a female guest vocalist, to be the witch in the song. And so I asked some of our friends, and it just so happened that Brittany Slays from Unleash the Archers said yes. And we're super, super, super happy to have her on the album. She is an absolutely incredible, amazing singer. And she laid down her vocals, and it was perfect from day one. It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you mentioned it was perfect from day one. One of the questions I was going to ask was, what was it like working with her on the track? Oh,
incredible. She is Canadian through and through. She's one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life. I think by law, if you're Canadian, you have to be absolutely nice, because every single person I've met in Canada has just been absolutely fantastic. But yeah, she was just the sweetest person. And actually, a few years ago, they came through Madison, Wisconsin, which is where we're out of, on tour, and they actually stayed at our house overnight, and we ended up bonding over our mutual love of operatic warm-up techniques for vocals. Cook some breakfast, and there you go. Everybody was best friends from there on forward. We're really, really hopeful that we can get on a tour with those guys again and share the stage and share some more time just drinking and having fun. So Brittany is the best. She's amazing. She's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so from the water came the fire, which I thought was unique in the shower, thinking about fire. Dousing it.
Well, it's hot water, right? So I'm like constantly,
exactly.
and as I am, I'm constantly thinking about fire, like how I can light more things on fire, how perhaps I can light myself on fire. That's one of the things. Wait, no, go ahead.
Is it weird that I thought when you said the witch's perspective, like witches don't have a perspective? They're just witches. They just burn them at the stake. Is that weird? Is that weird?
Well, okay. I don't know. Maybe it's one of those the movements. It's witches too. Hashtag witches too. They have a perspective as well.
Yeah, that witches also have feelings.
That's right. That's right.
exactly. Cool. All right, so for Rock Metal Nation who dug the 2 tracks, Death Dealer and Burn It Down with Fire, they're going to be incredibly excited to know that there is a full album coming out called Shadows from the Past, set to drop August 24th. So, my good sir, Fang, if you wouldn't mind taking us through Shadows from the Past, when we pick it up, what should we expect?
So, those of you who are familiar with Lords of the Trident before will hear an album that I feel is a lot more mature than some of our albums in the past in terms of, I think in terms of just songwriting in general. People who love Lords of the Trident are going to have a lot to love on this album. But I think, with the addition of Baron Torian Helishar on lead guitar and Master Herc Schlagzeuger, our brand new drummer, on drums, we've really upped the ante in terms of musicality on this record. There's a lot of stuff coming in from left field. But those of you who are musicians out there are really going to appreciate it. At the same time, it's full of a bunch of amazing, catchy songs, and we're really excited to be putting it out. We have so when the Baron joined the band, right? He did one of the things that just endeared him to me immediately. He made a giant spreadsheet, right? I'm a barbarian who just loves spreadsheets, right? Mm-hmm. So he made this gigantic spreadsheet, and
spreadsheet porn.
Exactly, right? And he made like pivot charts and the whole thing. And he's like, okay, I look at all of the BPMs and all of the motifs and all of the keys of all the songs that Lords of the Trident has ever written, right? And he said, okay, let's try to do something that's a little different, right? Let's try to be different on every track than something that we've done before. Let's keep the stuff that works, but then expand our repertoire a little bit. So this album is full of material that is both more mature and also more challenging for us musically. This album has the longest song we've ever written. It has the highest note I've ever sung in my chest voice ever. And it has things like we've introduced extra instrumentation, like we've got a full orchestra, we've got a 40-person men's choir. We put a cannon, like a cannon shot, like a literal cannon, on one of the tracks. We've got a string quartet. We've got things like the Turkish oud, the balalaika, and the kemenche, a bunch of like really weird instrumentation. So we kind of went all in on this album, and we worked very, very, very hard on it for many, many months. And so, I hope people enjoy it. I think people will, but I'm really interested to see people's reaction, because for us, it was a very fulfilling sort of experience.
Sweet. All right, so the next logical question on Rock Metal Nation's mind is, we want to find out more about you guys and stay in touch. Where can we go to find you guys on the web?
Right, so the best thing to do is to get the most metal browser that you have installed on your computer, which is probably Chrome, because there's no other browser named after a metal on your computer. It's just Chrome. So take your Chrome browser and go to www.lordsofthetrident.com. That is your one-stop shop for everything Lords of the Trident. We also have a fantastic Patreon page for those of you who are interested in pledging, in becoming minions and joining the fan club. Go to patreon.com/Lords of the Trident. We give out all sorts of exclusive free stuff there, like acoustic covers, official bootlegs, free T-shirts, all sorts of fun stuff. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, we're on MySpace for some reason, I don't know. And I think the Baron has a private channel on RedTube too. So if you're into that, it's totally fun. But your main stop, lordsoftetrident.com.
All right, I'm going to bust out Netscape, open up MySpace.
Oh. Make sure it's at least version 4.2, otherwise that scrolling text will not work, my friend.
Exactly. All right, well, Fang, unless there's anything else you wanted to throw out there, I just wanted to thank you for taking time out of your day to come onto the Rock Metal Podcast and sharing Lords of the Trident with Rock Metal Nation.
Well, thank you so much. And I will say that if there's anyone in the Midwest area, once a year we throw this amazing festival called Mad with Power Fest. We take some of the best bands from all across the country and sometimes all across the world, and we bring them to Madison, Wisconsin for a one-day giant power metal, thrash metal, and traditional metal festival. We fill an entire venue with free play arcade and pinball games, and so it's one low fee to get your face melted off by a bunch of amazing bands and to play as much Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles co-op as you possibly can. So check it out, madwithpowerfest.com. And this year the album comes out on the 24th, and we're doing the CD release party at Mad with Powerfest on the 25th in Madison, Wisconsin. So grab your last-minute plane tickets get your hotels.com, get on the iPad and make sure you got that together and get to Madness Power Fest and come celebrate and bang your head with us.
All right, Rock Metal Nation. Hopefully you just found your new favorite band in Lords of the Trident. Big thanks again to them for coming on and sharing their music with us. Make sure to head over to www.therockmetalpodcast.ca to get all the information on the show you just heard today. And until then, rock on, Rock Metal Nation.